Hey, this is a Well Advice channel too. What I want to talk about today is the top 5 reasons why conservatism sucks. So for this video, I will not only discuss the top 5 reasons why conservatism sucks as a whole, as an ideology, not even getting into topics of course, things like race, gender discrimination, religious discrimination like Islamophobia and so on and so forth, but just discussing the problem with it as an ideology as a whole from its very foundation. And not only that, but also a message when it comes to, that, to be more specific, is an important message that people can learn from towards the end of the video, okay? That definitely is very needed in this world, especially nowadays, okay? So now I mentioned that, let's get started. So the first biggest problem with conservatism is this lack of interest in government control. In other words, it's a big advocate for states' rights, which of course is not just since conservatism is everywhere in the world. If it's not America, if it's not necessarily states' rights, it can be, depending on the nation, it could be province rights, prefecture rights, whatever they call it. But either way, you get the point, okay? The point is the conservatives do not support the idea of the government wholeheartedly making laws that are naturally enforced throughout the land as much, okay, as maybe the left wing. Obviously, we want things to be okay, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? That is the truth about conservatism as an ideology. It just doesn't support that, okay? It supports the idea of every part of a nation, the different parts of a nation making their own rules, instead of course, no surprise, actually having those rules directly enforced by the government, which of course, not only even though it's stupid as a whole for that matter, and no surprise, can cause a lot of confusion. Like, you might go to one state in America, using America as an example for this first point specifically, you go to one state in America, go to another state, and not even know something is illegal, because it was completely legal in your state and stuff. You don't know, okay? Even aside from that, it also comes down to the fact that just down to common sense, in the case of something that's genuinely important, like a national disaster, or let alone a better term could be national crisis, whether it could be a war, natural disaster, a pandemic, as we saw during COVID, it makes it harder for people to actually get shit done. Just what's an easy example being, let's just say there was an epidemic happening again in America and unlike COVID, which was kind of a joke, that might kill 60-70% of everybody who's infected by it. In the case of, obviously, a pandemic that of course could happen and probably will happen of that magnitude, states' rights makes it harder for people to actually get shit done, for that matter, okay? Because it just teaches people, okay, every part of a nation, every different segment of a nation can make their own rules, which is stupid because in the case of national disaster, we want everything to kind of come together. If we tell people, if we say, okay, this nation and this part of this nation, or whatever part of the nation, the state, that state, whatever, can make their own decisions, it makes it more likely, even though some states might do things properly, you might have some states that don't do things properly and just does whatever the fuck they want to do, and they don't take it seriously and say, oh, it wouldn't happen here, we'll just prevent people from coming in, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then somehow, because someone comes in and someone just breaks in, and as we all know in life, for everything, it just takes one person to fuck everything up for anything, and somebody just comes in, somehow, they spread disease, and they didn't have like a quarantine being in effect. It spreads out, and a good portion of the population of that state dies. And it then spreads to other states and so on and so forth that have absolutely nothing to do with that stupidity anyway. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get across here. It makes it more likely in a case of a crisis, not just for America, but using America as a perfect example right there, it makes it harder for people to actually get shit done. Because the biggest thing you obviously need if you have a crisis is the national unity, to get shit done as a whole. But if you believe every region has the right to do things that way, it makes it more likely when a situation happens, it's harder to get it fixed. So that's the biggest, and just in general for this list, the first fundamental problem with conservatism, okay? The second problem with conservatism is that it hates regulations. Now, this one's also a very foolish one too, but it's also part of the conservative ideology. It hates the idea of people of the government being able to regulate things. Okay, whether it comes down to things like how much, like who can purchase firearms and how powerful the firearms you want can be used, and of course, let's not obviously forget, of course, common sense 101. Obviously the financial markets, which is extremely important to everybody in this world we live in. It prevents people from being able to, of course, no surprise, being able to actually, of course, in the government, to be exact, being able to enforce regulations. And the truth is, if you don't have regulations, especially for things that are very important, which we'll use a financial market as an example, it can cause problems and obviously may create a situation where everyone does whatever the fuck they want to do, and as a result can of course affect the whole nation very negatively, because then you have a result where of course the whole nation is suffering misery and pain because people just did whatever the hell they want to do, and as a result, since there wasn't any regulation, a lot of people are getting sick. And let's not even get into other regulation issues that the conservatives have always been accused of, which they definitely are very responsible for, whether it comes down to things like, lack of supporting food regulation, environmental damage regulation, and so on and so forth. Let's not even get into those things. The main thing we're using here as an example of financial regulation, because that, of course, is very, very, very important. And of course, as a result of it being important, it's not something that should be messed with. And obviously, if it's something that's messed with, it can cause massive issues for the overall nation of people, not just for America, but for literally any other nation. So the truth of the matter is, that's another big problem with conservatism. It hates the idea of regulation, but regulations prevent issues from happening because it prevents everyone from just doing whatever the fuck they want to do. And as a result of that is another big problem with regulations, because then it leaves things open and it just takes a matter of time for one thing to happen, and there's problems everywhere, and everyone's suffering as a result of that, of the stupidity of that ideology, okay, for that matter. So that's another big problem with conservatism, okay, my second point. Now, on to my third point, is that it advocates for individual liberties, okay? Which is another example of why conservatism as an ideology sucks. Now, this one's going to be shorter than the other two previous examples, but this one just simply is down to common sense, okay? The truth of the matter is, in life, you're always going to have people in life who just always want to ruin everybody's fucking mood, okay? And if you teach people that the government shouldn't have any right to put their personal opinion into what people do in their own family affairs, you're always going to have people who are going to cause problems, okay? Whether you could have parents who are extremely religious and as a result don't let their kids have any fun and don't even treat them well, let them look at what they want to look at, even just using common sense and realizing, okay, he can look at maybe certain things, but we also have to keep in mind, maybe we want to kind of make sure he doesn't take it too far. Some people just don't let their kids watch certain things and stuff, and it creates a lot of issues, let alone the fact that they advocate for an mindset and ideology that teaches that the parent is always right, but sometimes the parent is not always right, and sometimes some parents just don't want to see their kids happy, and as a result, it creates a lot of problems and it promotes a lot of abuse, whether it could be in one way or the other. And that's one of the biggest problems with conservatism. It promotes individual abuse by other individuals because it teaches society that the government shouldn't enforce their personal opinion in people's affairs, which sometimes people just make bad decisions when it comes to doing things. Just like how they used to say not too long ago, in the greatest scheme of things, only not even 33 decades ago, the government, what in business does the government have in enforcing rules that prevent parents from physically hitting their kids, which is stupid, especially when taking into consideration that some parents did have favorites when it came to the kids they like, let alone they just were straight up abusive, okay? So that's another thing to also take in mind, okay? That's the third point, is that it helps promote abuse because it teaches society that the government shouldn't be involved in people's affairs, personal affairs, like their personal family and so on and so forth affairs, which is really dumb, okay? So that's the third biggest problem with conservatism, is it promotes abuse, okay, indirectly, okay? Now, the fourth biggest problem is that it hates taxes. It hates the idea of taxes, which obviously we need taxes to build things and make our lives as a whole for our society better, because we need taxes for better infrastructure and so on and so forth, which it hates again, hates. And of course, down to the fifth reason it sucks, which all the previous examples showed, you know, why this point is correct is it prevents rapid change. Which sometimes in life we need rapid change in order to make shit fucking happen in society, specifically if we have a natural disaster, let alone a national emergency to be more exact. Okay, so that is the honest truth of the top 5 reasons why conservatism sucks. Okay, so the truth of the matter is, back to what I said earlier in the video, the lesson to learn from this video is that, simply put it, conservatism is a shitty ideology. It doesn't work and never will work. Even from its very foundation, when you get past the controversy surrounding it, it just doesn't make any sense and never will make sense. It's actually very idealistic and is simply stupid to actually believe it will work in the real world. So what we need to do to make our political system better is we need to change the political ideology of conservatism, if not replace it with something else, because simply put it, it's destructive, it doesn't work and never will work. And that is all to say for the video, and I hope you learned something new, and simply put, I'm out. Bye.